The story begins with a second-grade high school student named Toyama Kinji. He looks very lazy and has no enthusiasm for life. Even he wants to leave the Bude school and live in peace. Bude is a school that trains its students to become soldiers or assassins. Then came his childhood friend named Shirayuki. Shirayuki prepared breakfast before they went to school. After eating together, Shirayuki warned Kinji to be careful, because there is news that a Bude killer is hanging around there. For this reason, Kinji always carries a gun and knife if only he is involved in a battle later. Then, while heading to school with his bicycle, a robot was suddenly chasing him. There was even a bomb on the bike. If he stops or slows down, then the bomb will explode. As a result, Kinji continued to pedal his bicycle without stopping. Then there was a transfer student named Aria who saw Kinji was having trouble there. Aria quickly destroyed the robot and saved Kinji with her boobs pads. As a result of the explosion, they were thrown into a warehouse. Then the previous robot came back and attacked them there. Aria tried to shoot back. Meanwhile, Kinji, pinned by Aria's boobs, made him horny. So Kinji enters hysteria mode and becomes overpowered. Finally, Kinji defeated all the robots. Then Aria even felt annoyed with Kinji because Kinji treated her as a junior high school student, even though she was in second grade in high school. When in class, he goes back to normal mode. It was unexpected that Aria would be in the same class as Kinji. Instantly, the whole class became excited because Kinji is antisocial and had a beautiful woman acquaintance. Not only that, but Aria will also live with Kinji in the apartment. Then Aria wanted to stay at Kinji's place and always told Kinji to obey her orders. At the same time, Kinji had no choice but to obey all her wishes. Then while Aria was taking a bath there, suddenly Shirayuki came to Kinji's residence to give food. Shirayuki likes Kinji and even wants to be his wife. Meanwhile, Kinji tried to distract Shirayuki from meeting Aria. The next day they went to school together. The students are divided into several groups in the school: assault group for shooting practice and logi group for car driving practice. Not only that, there are various kinds of missions, and students are free to take these missions. Kinji takes Bude's mission E rank to find a missing cat. By chance meeting Aria, she helped Kinji find a cat. After searching various places, in the end, they found it on the bank of the river. Then Kinji meets a woman in his class named Riko. Kinji made a game transaction with her. Instead, Kinji got information about Aria. Riko explained that Aria was nicknamed Aria Quadra from Europe because she used 2 pistols and 2 swords simultaneously. Even Aria was already in S rank, who always managed to catch criminals. While Kinji was previously in S rank, he was demoted to E rank because he didn't take his exam. Knowing Kinji's greatness, Aria forced Kinji to show his strength the same as before. In the end, Kinji intends to show his power in the next mission. But Aria didn't know Kinji had to be horny to enter hysteria mode. The next day, Kinji is late for the bus to school. Then suddenly, the bus was hijacked, and there was the same bomb as Kinji's bicycle. Kinji's classmates were also there, so they could understand the situation. Meanwhile, Kinji, who knew about it, immediately met Aria and quickly headed to where the bus was. On the other hand, there is an armed car attacking the students. The car has a heat sensor that can predict the students' movements. Fortunately, Kinji came with Aria and immediately stopped the car. After that, they immediately got into the bus. Aria also found that the bomb was under the bus. Meanwhile, Kinji found a tracking sensor at the top. When they were about to release the bomb, suddenly another armed car came again. Even though she managed to destroy the car, Aria was seriously injured. Then when they came out of the tunnel, there was a helicopter. A sniper named Ricky will release the bomb under the car with her shot. The shot is very accurate and can save everyone there. After that, the two fought because Kinji did not show his abilities. Kinji doesn't want to show his abilities and wants to leave Bude's school immediately. Previously, Kinji had an older brother, and he saved all the passengers in the sinking incident of a ship due to a bomb explosion. But his brother became the only victim there. However, the media instead blamed his brother for not stopping the bomb, and even Kinji became traumatized after receiving insults from the media. After that, Kinji accidentally met Aria, and Aria took him somewhere. They also met Aria's mother in prison. She was accused of being the mastermind behind Bude's murder. For this reason, Aria is determined to prove that her mother is innocent by catching the mastermind behind Bude's killer. But her mother advised Aria to find a partner first to awaken her true ability. The next day, Aria wanted to go to London immediately, while Kinji was alone with Riko. Riko provides information about the Bude killer and the incident of his brother's death. Even as an addition, Riko seduces Kinji. In the end, Kinji entered hysteria mode.
ごめんな、今日はお預けだ。お子様はそろそろお家でおねんねの時間だろ。
Kinji refused Riko's invitation to make love because he felt Aria was in danger, so he immediately headed to Aria's place. After that, Kinji arrived at the plane that Aria was using. He could no longer stop the plane. Therefore, Kinji accompanied Aria on the plane. When the plane was already flying high, Bude's killer launched his action. Knowing this, they immediately meet the mastermind behind Bude's murder. It turns out that Riko is the mastermind behind all of this. Riko explains that her grandfather is a famous criminal and the eternal enemy of the Kanzaki family. To prove that Riko is more powerful than her grandfather, Riko prepares in various ways for the stage of the battle against Aria later. Riko herself is the mastermind behind the incident in the death of his brother Kinji. Knowing that, they immediately fight with Riko.
常に防弾服を着用、すなわちアリアが不利になる。そこまでだ、リコ。
Even though they fought Riko alone, they made a mistake and caused Aria to take a fatal blow. Kinji immediately took her to safety and provided treatment by injecting it into Aria's chest. So Aria regained consciousness quickly, but her emotions became unstable and unsettled. As a result, Kinji kissed Aria to calm her. After calming down, they discussed a plan to defeat Riko. Of course, Kinji had entered hysteria mode. But Riko immediately ran away and wanted to bring down the plane. While Aria was trying to control the plane, Kinji found Riko around the bomb. Riko also explained that she was in the European unit's organization. Even Kinji's older brother was also there. After that, Riko immediately ran away from the plane, and they got a gift from the European units. The missile destroyed 2 plane engines, and the plane tank leaked. But Kinji in hysteria mode remains calm and doesn't shake at all. Then Kinji communicated with the defense forces, and Kinji even called his classmate. But the defense forces cut the communication lines because the government decided to shoot down the plane.
なんだ、どうやって割り込んだ。
うるせえ、お上は引っ込んでろ。従わなければ撃墜もやむなしだとよ。
撃墜?
Because of this, Kinji intends to land the plane in an empty lot near the Bude school. But the place was covered by a rainstorm. His friends at school immediately turned on the light so Kinji could see the landing strip. Ultimately, the plane landed safely, even though it almost crashed. After all that, Aria acknowledged the greatness of Kinji. They officially became partners. Then Shirayuki saw Kinji was with Aria there, and as a result, there was a fight to kill each other. It turns out that Shirayuki has psychic powers, and she is the strongest student in psychic powers. That's why Shirayuki was able to draw against Aria. Kinji immediately pacified Shirayuki's tantrum with his explanation. But Shirayuki fainted after finding out they had kissed. The next day, Shirayuki became angry and avoided Kinji at school. It turned out that Shirayuki switched to yandere mode due to the previous incident. Shirayuki kept on bullying Aria and even wanted to kill her.
私がロッカーに潜り込まないと服が取れないのを見越して首の位置にピアノ線が張られてたんだから。
やばすぎだろそれ。
Then a teacher tells Shirayuki to be careful, as maybe Durandal will target her later. Knowing that, Aria agreed to be Shirayuki's bodyguard for 24 hours. Not only that, but Kinji will also be her bodyguard, and Shirayuki will live with them.
って白雪が持ってきたやつだぞ。そんな危険物なんか。あった。
In the end, Kinji is always with them all the time. Aria's goal of becoming a bodyguard was to catch Durandal, who was targeting Shirayuki. Kinji felt that Durandal didn't exist, and even Aria could not prove it. She only relies on a hunch, and the truth is uncertain. Because they fought again, Kinji decided to escort Shirayuki during the event at their school. Before that, they both attended the fireworks festival in Tokyo, but they were late because the event was over. In the end, they bought small fireworks, but Shirayuki got a mysterious message from someone. Because of that, Shirayuki's attitude became even stranger than usual. Then when the event at their school had started, Shirayuki suddenly sent a message to Kinji saying goodbye. Of course, this made Kinji panic, and he immediately looked for her in various places. Luckily, Riki had kept an eye on Shirayuki's movements beforehand, so Kinji got information to find Shirayuki's whereabouts. Arriving there, Shirayuki met Durandal. Meanwhile, Kinji immediately launched an attack, but a counterattack hit him. Aria was also there to help Kinji fight Durandal. Durandal immediately left from there, and tied Shirayuki to a pillar even though the place would sink. Kinji also asks Aria to catch Durandal first while Kinji tries to free her as quickly as possible. As they began to sink, they shared breaths, making Kinji horny. With Hysteria mode, Kinji can release her easily. Then they made it to a safer place and met up with Aria. Kinji was suspicious because Shirayuki's bra was previously black, but now it's white. Kinji confirmed that Durandal had disguised herself as Shirayuki. Even though he had difficulty fighting her, the real Shirayuki was there. Durandal also shows her true form, named Jean. Shirayuki will fight Jean using her full power, namely the fire sword technique. Meanwhile, the others were also preparing to launch an attack to capture Jean. In the end, Jean is captured by them. After that, Aria and Shirayuki became cheerleaders as the opening event act at their school. The next day, Kinji was asked to meet Aria at the women's dormitory. Aria immediately took Kinji to bed. It turns out that Riko has disguised herself as Aria to trap Kinji there. Riko wants to make love with Kinji. In return, Kinji will get information about his brother.
キーくん、リコを彼女にしちゃおうよ。いつでも好きな場所で。
But suddenly, Aria came to disturb them, and Riko immediately ran up the building. Riko explained that she had no intention of causing trouble with them but instead offered to cooperate. She said Vlad, the number 2 person in the European units, had stolen Riko's valuables. Therefore, Riko wants to work with them to steal the object back. They also accepted the cooperation so that they could meet Vlad in person. The next day, Riko always tries to get close to Kinji and even teases him constantly.
どうぞ。
お前な。
適切なタイミングでヒステリアモードになる訓練なんだよ。一緒に大泥棒を成功させるには必要なの。
However, that made Shirayuki jealous and she attacked Riko. But Riko can avoid the attack. When Kinji took Shirayuki to the school's health clinic because she was slightly injured, Shirayuki instead took advantage of that to be able to make love with Kinji. However, Kinji refused it and immediately ran away from there. The next day, Aria and Kinji went to meet Riko somewhere. Riko welcomed the two of them along with the cafe maid. They were discussing the theft mission there. They will infiltrate a villa belonging to Vlad. Because there is a heavily guarded fort, they disguise themselves as maids to enter the villa. The thing they are going to steal is a rosary that belonged to Riko's late mother. Riko wants to take it back because it is a valuable object for Riko. Before carrying out the mission of infiltration, they practice first. Then the next day, Kinji met Jean again at school. Jean becomes an exchange student at the Paris school. Jean also tells about Riko. It turns out that after the death of her parents, Riko was taken by Vlad and locked up in prison for years. Vlad also promises to free Riko if she surpasses her great-grandfather's greatness. Not only that, Jean told Kinji the weak points of Vlad so that Kinji could beat him later. After that, Riko wanted to train Kinji by asking Kinji to go to the school's health clinic, where Kinji met his classmate who was hiding in a locker. It turned out that the female students would change their clothes so that they would peek at the women instead.
キーくん、いい眺めでしょ。10秒以内にリコの下着の色を変身せよ。答えられないとロッカー大回転。
ハニーゴールドと。
However, Ricky already knew their whereabouts. Then suddenly, a wolf entered the place. Kinji tried to fight him, but the wolf immediately left. Kinji and Ricky immediately chased after the wolf. In the end, they arrived at a building, and Kinji tried to fight the wolf without killing it. Meanwhile, Ricky was ready to immobilize him when the wolf wanted to run away. The shot from Ricky paralyzed the wolf. Ricky wants to keep him as a pet. Luckily, the wolf acknowledged Ricky's greatness, and he was willing to become a partner. Then they had been preparing to infiltrate Vlad's place for 2 weeks. Before heading there, Riko disguised herself as a woman named Kana. Arriving at Vlad's villa, it turns out that their teacher at school named Sayanaki is the manager there, while Vlad has never lived in that place. But they are still servants there, as well as monitoring the situation around the place to find Riko's Rosario. After 1 week as a servant, Aria explained that there was a vault underground, and their Aria saw a blue Rosario. Hearing that Riko confirmed it was hers, therefore they had to divert attention from Sayanaki first. On the last day, Aria distracted Sayanaki by taking her to the rose garden. Meanwhile, Kinji tries to steal the rosary carefully. Even though he managed to get the rosary, Kinji was still having a hard time because Aria couldn't hold Sayanaki any longer. Riko immediately uses the seduction to make Kinji enter hysteria mode.
やってくれたな、リコ。悪い子だ。後でお尻ペンペンだな。
リコ的にはそれはご褒美ですよ。
As a result, Kinji can finish the theft quickly. After all that, they return the rosary to Riko, and as a gift, Riko kissed him. However, after that, Riko intends to fight with them there. The rosary holds the power of her family's lineage. That's why Riko wants to use it to defeat Aria. However, she was immediately paralyzed by Sayanaki. Sayanaki already knew all of their plans beforehand. Even in the past, Sayanaki had researched Riko's blood while in prison. Sayanaki tortured Riko until she was helpless. Then Sayanaki awakens Vlad in his body, so he turns into a powerful black wolf monster. Even bullets can't penetrate his body. Aria tried to divert his attention so Kinji would take Riko to a safe place. Riko tells Vlad's 4 weak points, and they should attack him simultaneously to beat Vlad. Even though he had shot on target, Vlad still survived because the information on his weak point was wrong. As a result, they are cornered because Kinji's hysterical mode suddenly disappears. Riko immediately saved Kinji. Kinji thought to find a way to beat Vlad, but in the end, he realized Vlad's weak point. They only have a few bullets left, therefore each of them must guess simultaneously. It turned out that the weak point was in the tongue. As a result, they managed to defeat Vlad together. After defeating Vlad, Riko is free from her past trauma. A few days later, Aria received news that her mother might be released from detention soon. It was thanks to their previous battle. And that is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and like this video, so see you in the next video.